My name is Jason Shirk. I'll be your MC today. Couple of things just to cover as we continue to roll through for the day. One, BlueHat's kind of different, right? We're not here to sell anything. We're not here to convince you to not compete with us. We're not here to try and get your pitches on whatever thing that is that you want to do. It's all about collaborating, right? It turns out that the roughly 3 billion people that are online happen to be spread across all of the companies that are represented out here in the audience. And this is a place where we want to come and we want to talk about how we protect them together. So those are the base Blue Hat rules. We also have a code of conduct. You can read it. Please be awesome to your fellow attendees. It comes down to that. There are also some COVID protocols. You'll see some little stickers here on what kind of contact people are appropriate, feel is comfortable for them, and also maybe some pronouns. Again, be awesome to people. Please respect those boundaries. With that, though, I would also like to say this is my 11th Blue Hat. So excited to have it back here in Seattle. So excited to have it back here on Microsoft campus. Really fantastic. I'm a boomerang to Microsoft, spent a few years out at Apple, and I can truly say that whether I attended this as a Microsoft employee or as I attended as an Apple employee, really the environment was the same, and it's pretty fantastic. Really glad to have all of you here today to help us solve this greenfield problem, as Charlie put it. Great quote out there. With that, I am going to turn it over to our panel. Next, we have Stronger Together, celebrating the researcher community panel. We have Abhilasha Bhargav-Spantzel, David Westin, Alfred, and Cristin Goodwin. It's going to be moderated by Stephanie Calabrese. I can say these are all amazing human beings. I have collaborated and or conspired with all of them across time. And with that, I'm going to hand it to Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Jason. So the fun of running live events, of course, is we have 4 mics. So we have a couple of folks that are still getting mic'd up back there, but I thought I'd come out and, chit chat with you anyway. It's really fun to see so many familiar faces out here. And it's interesting because I'm usually behind that curtain putting people up on the stage. And I tell them, you're going to be great, you're going to be fine. And everyone's been telling me that today, and I realize it doesn't help, actually. So I'm gonna work on that. But as Jason said, my name is Stephanie Calabrese. I have the privilege of working on the community team in MSRC. We have, and I'm going to give him a shout out there. We got Nick back there, who has really done a wonderful job of putting this together. Rebecca back there, Alyssa, Alex, Wendy. This has been a crazy time to try to pull an event. You all probably realize we were in another building, and now we are in a new building. So I know this isn't the greatest setup. I've heard a couple of people might not be able to see as well in the back. Only for these sessions will we be sitting down. Everybody else will be standing up, so it will be a little bit of a better experience. So please bear with us. We apologize for that inconvenience. And when people are mic'd up, I say, come on down, come on, jump on stage. I mean, I could yes, there we go. All right. There we go. They were just going to let me keep talking up here, it turns out, that whole time. Great. Thank you so much. All right, so let's just go ahead and start off. Joining me today is Dr. Abhilasha Bhargav-Spantzel, who has spent much of her career focusing on hardware-based security product architecture. She holds over 35 patents and is really passionate about giving back to the community, whether it's STEM, K-12, cybersecurity, as well as organizing camps. So thank you for being with us today, Abhilasha. Thank you.
Abby?
Perfect. Next, we have Dr. Alfred. He is responsible for initiatives for protecting all layers of the Azure platform, from data center critical environments to Azure products and services. He holds multiple patents related to cloud operations and management. This is actually his first Blue Hat, so welcome to Blue Hat, and Abhilasha's first Blue Hat, so very exciting. And in the last few years, he has started a scholarship with his wife for his alma mater, WGU, to help Pell eligible students looking for careers in IT. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Next, we have Cristin Goodwin. She is a veteran of the stage of BlueHat, so you probably saw her last year. She's a lead attorney for MSRC for many years, and she's also been the lead attorney for Mystic, which is the Microsoft Threat Intelligence Center. You're going to learn more about that next, since its founding. She lives with her 2 teenagers in Redmond. They consider Wi-Fi a human right. That fact and their disdain for her mom jokes are both true. And then finally, I'm not sure if I don't know if we need an introduction over here, but David Westin, aka Dwizzle, is the VP of Enterprise and OS Security, where he's responsible for the security engineering of Windows, Xbox, Windows Server, and Azure OS, as well as the offensive security research and engineering team. He's a regular on stage at BlueHat as well. He's an avid gamer and a dedicated practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which may or may not explain the black eye that he has right now.
Does explain it, does explain it.
And also, just a little sneak peek, on Thursday, he will be DJ Dwizzle in the networking room from 4 to 5. So hopefully he'll be here. He's going to spin some things for us. I think I speak for the crowd, David, when I say we really hope Taylor Swift is going to be on that,
All right,
playlist.
first song. I'll drop some T Swift for you, for sure.
Awesome, great. Well, let's go ahead and get this kicked off. Let's start with you, Abhilasha, since she's my manager. We've been eager to get back in person. You and I have had conversations about when's the right time to get back. We've been in the pandemic. What do we want to do? And you were pretty adamant. It's time to get this community back together. Why is it so important to reconnect at BlueHat?
Yeah, the energy was already there. Like last evening, some of us met, and this morning, wow, my voice sounds so like mechanical. It adds to the fun, right? So seeing everyone right here, the encouraging faces right in front of me, it's really an honor to be with you. The kind of experience, the commitment that we have. We have about 400 people here with 26 different countries and more than 180 organizations. It's incredible, this journey, and getting us all back together has been our mission for a little while in a kind manner, but we really are very thankful for you to be here. It's heartening to get us together. And there are many, like Achal and Charlie said, like we've had a lot of success over the last 20 years. I'm not sure if I can give the right attribution, but in the morning they said this particular community is not just about finding the flaws, but finding ways to fix it together with the rest of the the organizations, with our partners. And if I'll have to stand up because you can't see much from here either. But like Callum, I think, is right there.
Can we get our MVRs to stand up?
Yeah. So I'll give a few examples. Yeah, there you go, Sick. So I'll give some examples. Like Callum, for example, in identity management, not only found flaws with looking at privilege escalation, looking at other identity, fundamental aspects of identity and how we make things better. So hats off to not just finding a flaw or places for improvement, but also working together with us to make sure we can, go and fix it and help multiple people. So there's a fun part and there's a part which I think that unites us together is to help raise that bar. So thank you so much for that. Also Sick, looking at not just the here and now, but the emerging threat landscape, looking at, I remember us sitting together and saying, hey, this is an underserved area, the critical, infrastructures, and making sure we could, do that. And I have a whole list of MVRs who are here. Let me make sure all the MVRs who are here, if you can please stand up. We would love to acknowledge you and make sure.
Rocco, are you in here? There you are.
So we have James Forshaw, Rocco. We have Giannis Karp, Murig, Walid, if you're around. Callum, of course. And then we have, is Zinyag here? And then we have Nisturi.
Oh, no, he's not here yet.
Oh, he's not here yet. So yeah, Cameron, who is now a Microsoft employee, is also here. You'll see great things, but couldn't be more appreciative, and it was nothing more important than getting us together, seed those ideas, and work together. So thank you so much.
Did I lose the mic? There we go. So Dave, you and I have talked about the contributions that the researcher community makes at the macro level. What are the ways that you use the research by the researchers that were just highlighted and others in this room to improve products?
More like what don't we use from the research community? I mean, I'd say one of the biggest areas, everyone knows about bugs. The research community gives us bugs. Bugs are dope. I love bugs. But what we really look for is disruption. At a company like Microsoft with so many smart people and working at scale, you tend to think you have your arms around a problem. Okay, we got a lot of memory corruption issues. Let's go do fuzzing. Let's go do memory safety. Let's go do static analysis. And when you get into that sort of mindset, what you really need is people who are able to point out the flaws in that at scale thinking, right? The asymmetry. And so a good example, of things that have helped us in the past is, in the Xbox world, the Xbox hackers who really defined what it means to have a physically present threat model really challenged our thinking on how to build secure systems from the ground up. And that, influences made its way into Windows 10, Windows 11. A lot of the trusted execution approaches that we have are really built on the assumptions that were challenged by Xbox hackers. Attack surface is challenging us all the time. One of the things that's realistic about running a giant, security team at the operating system or scale of Microsoft is you're going to have to triage. Newsflash, we don't have enough security engineers to cover every line of code, and so that means we have to triage. And what the research community constantly does is show us how crappy our triage is at times. We'll say, this component's good. I'll give you a great example. I was just talking to Matt Miller the other day, Scape, shout outs to Scape, and we were talking about at one time we thought SMB was highly secure, that we'd fuzzed all the bugs out of it. Exactly, so research community obviously showed we weren't on top of that one. And so those are good examples of us just being constantly challenged on what we think we know and where we're deploying our resources. Forshaw did an amazing job with some of his file system work, which showed us that we had, systemic issues across the operating system. We've gone and made changes on that. CLFS is a great component, that is being targeted a lot by both the research community reporting bugs, but also real world adversaries. And we love that overlap, right? We love that's what the research community provides to us. And we're making changes to reduce that attack surface. So design challenges, attack surfaces challenges. And the last one I'll say is, tools are very influential for us. Things like road tools that Dirk built, or things like Mimikatz that was built by the community really challenge us not only to define security boundaries clearer, but actually make material improvements around that. So it's hard to say, it's hard to encompass it. It's just a fabric of what we do in security engineering at Microsoft is working with the community.
I love it. I mean, really, there's so much that we do that we couldn't do without this community. And Andre, I guess similar question to you. You oversee Azure Security and all layers in there. We sort of joked. I was like, I really need a list of all the things that you do. There's so much. How does the researcher community impact the work that's done on your team, including the targeted bounty efforts that we've been doing?
So, when I was listening to the keynote, the first thing, there's a meta feedback where there's a question, what are you doing in Azure Security, right? So that, when we see all the feedback that's input from our customers, from the research community, the fact that I'm here on the stage now is responsive to that question, and we've put together a blog series around the defense in depth approaches that we're taking. So it's, what is your approach towards dealing with these issues that we're finding at scale? So, first and foremost, thanks for bringing that to our attention, that we needed to answer that question. And then here I am in my first BlueHat, coming out of the shell, as was said in the keynote earlier. Specifically, we put out a bug bounty through MSRC on various high severity vulnerabilities that we appreciate, that we use to find. And as David has built these practices around variant hunting in the OS, we're actually porting a lot of that process into the cloud world, where not only we ask for one thing, but we find hundreds of those examples in our approach, right? And we're going to share more of that in the next couple of weeks on our Defense in Depth blog series, for example. And the thing that I also wanted to share is that focus that we get from the researcher community. we have to have that same transparency in all of our suppliers and how we build the cloud, because it's IoT, OT devices, all the way up into protecting what we provide as a service to the world. So,
Are you saying firmware is not perfectly secure for the stuff we buy?
it is not. It is not. So, we are part of a bunch of different communities as well, asking the same types of questions that you're asking of us. So that is super important, helping us square into our highest vulnerabilities that we find as an augment to our staff, and and we can use those to focus and prioritize. And we do that every day. I mean, every Monday we report up to our EVPs on what the heck's going on, what are we finding, how are we fixing them, and you and your work power that.
Yeah, let me go ahead and just give a shout out then to our bounty team. So Yarek, Madeline, Lynn, I mean, they do such an amazing job. If you haven't had a chance to work with them, I encourage you to see what opportunities might be out there, because it really does change the way that we do business here at Microsoft. So thanks to the contributors, and thanks to the people who run that team. Okay, Cristin, you were part of BlueHat in 2019. How many people went to Seattle 2019? All right, so pretty good turnout. Since then, some things have changed, including solar winds. That was something that has impacted us since then.
That was an experience.
Yeah.
First time I've ever had a conference call with the SLT while in my pajamas in my parents' basement, but yes.
So how has these sort of things over the last couple of years, how has that changed the culture of the industry?
So researcher time is fast. You are all moving at the speed of technology, and the things that you find are causing immediate reactions with David and Andre and the MSRC. Legal time is slow. And so we're still in the post-incident review phase of SolarWinds, if you will. It's a good way to think about it. We are still waiting for the U.S. implementation of its first incident notification or reporting requirements that will come into law and require companies to have to report their incidents into CISA. We have this legislation in place in Europe. It's now going through a revision, and you're starting to see Europeans get more aggressive in requesting that companies, critical infrastructures, operators of essential services, provide notifications to governments about the incidents that they see. India recently re-released and updated its incident notification requirements with a 6-hour reporting window. And so what we are living in for those in the law and policy space in this post-SolarWinds world is that we're finally starting to see the implementation of disclosure obligations, which is much more the domain of our friends on the privacy side of the equation than it's been in security. That's going to be a major change. You're seeing the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Federal Trade Commission in the United States exercising regulatory authority and oversight and wanting to know the who, what, when, where, why, and how of an incident concurrent with the response, or very closely following it. And so that's a major change. And so how we think about the vulnerabilities that trigger these responses and how we all engage in response, we're all going to have to learn collectively what the new era of incident notification looks like and what governments are going to do with that information. So it's as we think about what will the next big global incident be, wait 3 years, I'll come back and we'll talk about where the law is. And so that's what's really fascinating to see.
Well, hopefully we don't have to wait 3 years for another BlueHat, and but we'll take as long as we can between incidents like that. That's right. For sure. That's for sure. Andre, we've talked a lot about confidential computing in past BlueHats, which I know this is your first one, but you are, an expert in that space. So where are we now with that?
Well, the way I think about it is, to make it simple for me, is if you really don't trust the operator and you want to think of the cloud infrastructure as hostile environment, confidential computing is for you, right? So we have a number of services that are GA now that were announced in Ignite, and the way you can bring your keys into that environment, encrypt everything in memory. You can have a boundary between operators, between tenants that you totally control. So we think that that's a great offering that we have, and more services are getting added, every few months to sync into that confidential space. And the technology that we use, the hardware encryption, Dave's involved in that, those conversations where we share across the company to make sure we have the right great experience. And it's options not only for our customers, but for also ourselves to think about, what are our next generations of services, and using these technologies and platforms to have this, computing base that's trusted. So, in my space, we use our products, right? So for me personally, it's a very exciting time to leverage that technology just to make the general commercial cloud more secure for you all.
That's awesome. Thank you.
If I may, I think this will be very good for us to follow up and have those discussions from your side as well. Like, we have some initial thoughts, but getting your feedback during the later sessions.
Yeah, actually, we are also going to be at about 3:00 when the networking starts. The panel will have a table. We would love to come up and chat and get your thoughts and get your feedback on anything that you hear about today. All right, David, we're going back to you. How are we improving hardware trust and security in the context of the efforts in nation-state attacks?
Yeah, so I think our customers are just demanding a higher level of security. Folks in this room are demanding a higher level of security, so we're really refocusing on our fundamentals. So I think there's a couple of places that our energy is going into. The first is secure defaults. I think the traditional Microsoft approach, which was wrong, was, hey, we'll give you optionality in the operating system. We'll give you all this great security stuff, but it's up to you to know to turn it on. How many people thought that was a great idea? Not too many. So we've turned that on its head and said, if you build a security feature, it doesn't matter unless it's on by default. And so there's a lot of focus on that. And that has kind of a trickle-down effect, which is infrastructure, fighter planes, you name it. If the defaults that we have are basically the security baseline that is recommended for the highest threat environment, it goes to without saying that the entire sort of Windows install base and operating system install base will become part of the security baseline. So that's a big focus for us. The second thing is just constantly looking at ways to increase defense as we assume adversaries are a lot more capable. And that, for us, has come down to working much closer with our silicon partners. A lot of what we can do in software is limited by performance, is limited by security and integrity fundamentals. And so it's been really important for us to come together with like OEMs who build Windows or Azure servers, come together with the silicon folks and really collaborate on security. There's a couple of places that I think are really groundbreaking. I'll point out ARM's implementation of Cherry, which is a capabilities model that has some provable memory safety properties. Being able to look towards the future, having a hardware capabilities model would allow us to take existing software written in C and give some level of memory safety. There are other models that we're looking at. Cherry is very challenging to work on from an operating system perspective, but it's the right idea. But getting to a world where we're saying, if we have bugs, adversaries will exploit them, which I think is influenced by the threat landscape today, so we just better not have bugs, is really, I think, a new paradigm at Microsoft, and it's something that we're working closely on. And then finally, I would say we are redefining security boundaries. Again, there's an old document that I hate called the 10 Immutable Laws of Security. I'm trying to make them all mutable, which is I want to have larger security guarantees around things like physical possession, physical attacks, et cetera. Clearly, Apple and other companies are pushing the line there. Confidential computing is pushing the line. So there's really no reason we can't get there in more consumer operating systems. And those are the types of things that adversaries like to target. And so we're doing a lot with sort of redefining security boundaries and also taking into account things like firmware and the general device design. So a lot of work is informed basically by the increased threat landscape.
And there's just a lot of work to be done. And we even heard Charlie and Anshul talk about, 3 million jobs that we expect to go unfilled, maybe the lack of inclusiveness and diversity in this. Cristin, I know you lead the Microsoft Women in Security group, and you have a ton of passion around building D&I. I mean, why is that important to you?
I do. I mean, the comments that Anshul and Charlie were making earlier on really resonate because 20 years ago, I'd walk into a room of engineers or maybe government officials, and I would be the only female and the only lawyer. So I had 2 strikes against me. Right? And so it was a time when we just didn't have the opportunity. We didn't see the numbers of girls and young women coming into the space. And so now that I'm looking at the arc of my career, I want to dedicate time to bringing as many young women into security as possible. I think that we are so lucky because we call ourselves a community. And so it is inclusive by nature. So Microsoft Women in Security is about 700 women and allies strong. But what I'm really proudest of is the fact that because we're a community, if you're interested in security and you are advocating for security and you're in sales, if you're in engineering, if you are in law, if you are in marketing, we are all contributing towards a common goal. And that is what's going to make security, sorry, I get so much energy about this that I get a little loud, I apologize. But that's what's going to make the next generation so powerful. And those 3 million jobs that are going to get filled are going to get filled by people who never thought they had a voice. And I can't wait. I can't wait. So Microsoft Women in Security, for anybody who's in the company, who's in the room, please join our group.
I love it. And I'll just say thank you for leading that effort. I also want to give a shout out to Jessica Payne. So hi, Jessica. Jessica also, this is a passion of hers as well. And she has helped pull together some really fun talks for you today for those new emerging leaders that you maybe might not have had a chance to see before. So we're going to have lightning lunches where you have an opportunity to see some quick 10 to 15 minute talks. Would love if you come by and support that group. So please consider doing that. And I see a bunch of the folks here, so welcome. Okay, we are getting ready to wrap up. We talked a little bit earlier about MSRC, and I think Anshul and Charlie talked a little bit about the black hole that people might feel that things could go into when it gets into Microsoft. There's been some challenges, but we have tried to make some improvements. So can you share a little bit about what some of the improvements that the team has done to try to answer and respond to the feedback that we've gotten from the researcher community?
Yeah. One thing, I know black hole sounds bad, but my kids totally love it. If folks are following all the nice work that NASA is doing, it's amazing. But yes, we find improvements in our tooling. We talked about it across the board. It all comes down to making sure that we have good communication and feedback from our community, the entire security community, how you interact with us, make it really effective. And there's a ton of work that has been done. And as Stephanie was mentioning, we have Tom's team, which is dedicated to building those tooling, making sure that we have Comms Hub, a real-time interaction, make it easier for you to upload your files, making sure we can actually get feedback in a real time. So there's a ton of work that happened, and your feedback and interaction, we take it extremely seriously and act on it. And we've done a ton of work there. Archil also talked about the MAP community over 15 years. The numbers are amazing. I think about 175 million indicators of compromise are provided every single year. And this provides us to go fearlessly patch things, making sure that we can get ahead and understand the various vulnerabilities and protect our customers, protect the world. So I think that is one of those main things. Transparency, Charlie talked about it. And a lot of the ambiguity, lack of awareness, and understanding why a CVE entry, for example, is a certain scoring. So there's this is the 20th BlueHat, and we've come a long way. Just last year, I believe there was about 958 such CVEs, and these CVEs is about 579% more than the first BlueHat back in 2002. So I think there is a ton of work that has been done, and we'll keep on improving together with you. Your feedback is invaluable. So let's have that discussion these next 2 days, and really looking forward to partnering with you.
Yeah, I'll just second that. The feedback is incredibly valuable. We've had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people in the community. Please keep talking to us. unlike Charlie, I'm not going to say necessarily to email on Shawl. We'll be here later. Come and talk to us. We would love to hear your feedback. And I just want to thank our panel for being here, David, Cristin, Andre, and Abhilasha. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being here. We hope you have a fantastic Blue Hat, and we will see you for the next 2 days.